Being a mental health psych RN was the best experience I've had. But as a new grad, I felt like I needed more. And it came to a point where I needed to move on. And in this video, I'm going to be going over 5 reasons why I eventually left being a mental health psych RN. So stay tuned. Welcome back, Psych Dude family. It's good seeing each and every one of you guys today. If you are new to my channel, let me formally introduce myself. I'm the Psych Dude. I'm a board certified psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, and in this channel I go over several different subjects to educate the public about mental health, ways to improve your lifestyle, topics related to nursing, nurse practitioners, and specifically psychiatric mental health nurse practitioners like myself. So if you're interested in any of these topics, please feel free to subscribe. If you are a big fan, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and make sure you follow me on Instagram at the Psych Dude. So, you probably clicked this video trying to figure out why I eventually left being a psych nurse. And honestly, it was the toughest decision because I absolutely loved being a psych nurse, and I was in the inpatient side and the outpatient side, but I felt like it came to a point where I needed to move on. And I felt that all the things that I've learned as a psych nurse, although I was a new grad, I felt like I learned so much already, but I felt like I needed to move forward and I needed to kind of spread my wings and just get exposure. So in this video, I'm going to be going over 5 of these reasons why I eventually, and if you worked psych your whole life, maybe these are some things you need to think about. And if you're becoming a new nurse and you're wanting to go into psych, these may be things that you should think about also. So without further ado, let's get started on the 5 reasons why I eventually left being a mental health RN. So the very first reason why I left from being a mental health RN is it's dangerous. Let's face it, depending on which setting you're working in, a lot of the times you work in the inpatient side. Yes, there's both sides, but on the inpatient side specifically, I work both sides, so I kind of have experience in that part. But on the inpatient side, it's dangerous. The reason why it's so dangerous is because these patients are the sickest of the sick. So pretty much in this sense, they're either psychotic, they're either manic, they're experiencing all of these symptoms. They're irritable, aggressive, they're danger to themselves, danger to the others, and it kind of controls their mindset. And unfortunately, they're extremely impulsive. And when you pair people that are aggressive and impulsive and they don't sometimes get their way, you deal with dangerous behaviors, and you're gonna have to deal with dangerous situations, and sometimes you're in the middle of that, and sometimes you kind of have to react because you are the frontline person along with the mental health worker or the LPT or the LVN. You are the first line person, and sometimes you get caught up in it, and sometimes you may get kicked, you may get punched, you may get spit on, and let's just face it, it's dangerous. And it felt like I needed to move on. It felt like I was tired of constantly getting hurt or having one of my colleagues get hurt, and I just felt like I needed to move on because, let's face it, it's a dangerous situation and you don't want to be put in that situation on a nightly basis. Or well, I worked nights, so it was on a nightly basis, and I didn't feel like I wanted to be put in that situation all the time. So the second reason why I left being a mental health RN is the fact that they were only 8-hour shifts. So this is a huge component, especially when you're wanting to move forward in a job where you want to have that work-life balance. It felt like I was there every single day. I was working the knock shift, so I was working 11 to 7:30, and I felt like I was working every single day because when you get off of work, you're pretty much doing what you need to do, going to sleep, and then getting back up and going to work. And when you are off the next day, you're sleeping that whole day. So it didn't feel like it was I felt like I didn't have a job, and I felt like I needed to move forward, especially when I wanted to go back to school. I felt like 8-hour shifts and going to school the next day were going to be extremely tiring. So I felt like if I can transition into a job where it's 12-hour shift, then I'll have that more of a work-life balance. Yes, there are different facilities, different hospitals where you can work the 12-hour shift, but in that facility they didn't have the 12-hour shift, or actually they did have a 12-hour shift, but if you were working the 12-hour shift, you'd work every single weekend, and let's face it, I'm not about that life. So I felt like it needed to move forward, I needed to move on and kind of go that route of getting that work-life balance so I can actually take care of myself, take care of those around me, and feel good every single day and wanting to go into work every day. So the third reason why I left as being a mental health RN is the fact that I wanted to get acute care experience. So regardless of what type of setting I wanted to work in, I felt like the psychiatric mental health side is definitely something that I love, definitely something I learned so much from, but I needed exposure to the other side, the acute care side. Regardless of which setting I was going to work inside the hospital, I wanted to get the acute care experience, especially when learning the critical thinking side of all, because yes, you can critical think within the psychiatric mental health side, but the critical thinking skills of being able to prioritize, being able to delegate, and be able to do all of those things are a lot different compared to the psych mental health side. And I figured I wanted to get that experience. I wanted to be able to be the whole package, be able to do the mental health side, have the medical side, and be able to combine it as one, especially when I wanted to move forward in my career as a nurse. And I figured, why not just have all the experience, 2 years of experience is enough for me, and move on to another side so I can gain the other experience, and then I can eventually always come back to psych, which I did as a per diem RN. So it was one of those things where I needed to be able to get as much exposure to both sides to help me out overall. So the fourth reason why I left being a mental health RN is I felt like I was losing my skills. Yes, it's relatively easy to gain the skills back, but all the skills that I learned in nursing school, it felt like I didn't know how to do it. All my friends were in the ER, were in med-surg, were in ICUs, starting IVs, doing all this, doing all that, but I felt like I was losing my skills, and I felt that I need to go back into it because you never know when it's going to help you out in the future. You never know when it's going to help you out, even maybe as an NP. So I figured I needed to learn all the skills that I can, and getting the experience in the ICU, getting experience in the ER taught me so much, especially when learning all of those skills. Yes, it was a steeper learning curve, especially in the beginning, because I was in psych for 2 years and I didn't use any of those skills for 2 years. The most skills I'd use was checking a blood pressure cuff and doing AccuChecks. So besides that, it felt like I didn't have any of my skills that I learned, or I felt like I didn't have any of those skills that I learned in nursing school, and I felt like I wanted to be able to learn more skills to kind of, like I said, round myself out for the future. So the fifth and final reason why I left being a mental health RN is the fact that I wanted to gain the overall experience for the future, and the future meaning becoming a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. By being able to combine the psych side with the medical side in both experience as a ICU nurse, as an ER nurse, I was able to gain so much experience that actually set me up for better opportunities as a psych NP, and the better opportunities to learn more as a psych NP. I felt like I was more equipped to be able to be a psych NP compared to the people that were just strictly RNs. Yes, they had better knowledge about medications, about ways to help agitation and all of these other modalities of treatment, but I felt like I kind of had a better understanding of the medical side, being able to understand labs, being able to understand how this coordinates with this, and being able to see that the medical side can actually turn into psychiatric illnesses, and being able to understand the whole picture. And sometimes by just having the psych experience, all you're thinking about is psych. You don't think about the medical components of how that can create into or cause psychiatric disorders, and they just strictly think it's that and throw a bunch of meds at them. But at the same time, you have to think about all of those things. You have to think about the whole picture, and by being able to get that experience, I knew that the only way I can get that experience is to be able to go outside of psych. I wanted to get my ER experience. I wanted to get the ICU experience. I wanted to get all of the experience just so, like I said, so it can round me out to be a better provider. And ultimately, I knew I wanted to become a nurse practitioner. I knew from the very get-go when I worked psych that helping people and seeing the nurse practitioners, like the way they do things, I wanted to go that route. And like I said, by getting that experience on the medical side and the mental health side, it just made me, it makes me a better provider because I can understand all of that and understand how these certain nuances and certain things can actually help you when coming up with a diagnosis. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Well guys, I hope you guys enjoyed my video. I hope it was helpful in a sense of giving you a different perspective. A lot of people have been bashing me lately because I kind of go back and forth, but the biggest thing with my videos is I want to be able to give you perspectives of both sides. If I just give you one side of my views and one side of like just nursing, how is it going to help you expand your horizons in regards to choosing a profession that you love? I can just be super biased and say be a nurse practitioner, be a nurse, do this, blah blah blah, but there's so many different opportunities out there in regards to what you can do in the medical field. You can be a PA, you can be an MD, you can be a DO, you can be an LPT, you can be so many different things besides just being a nurse. You can do so much, and I wanted to give different perspectives, but for the most part people just think one side, that just because I'm a nurse I'm going towards nursing. No, it's not that. I want to be able to give you that perspective because you have so many opportunities out there, especially if you're young. Even if you're old, you have so many different opportunities out there to kind of be in a similar role as I am in now. So yeah, just wanted to give you guys my side of things on why sometimes I'll be like, don't be a psych NP, or be a psych nurse, or don't be a psych nurse. It's just because I want to give you both perspective on things in order for you to make the best and sound decision for your future. Well guys, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until next time, I'll see you then. Bye!